Welcome to the Awakening Podcast, another episode with Arnold, Sane in an insane world. You'll find Arnold, BrainGym.fitness, me on RoyCollin.com. And we're going to tell you what we're going to talk about today before we go through the conversation. We're going to discuss elections in Romania, protests in Serbia, CDBC in the EU, world population, as you can see from that beautiful picture. We're going to talk about AI, Arnold's pet that he likes to talk about, McDonald's and MANUS. Good news, Caravan, because you need some good news in the world and kind of know what's going on. Orgone Donor and a Desolinator, you can see it there. And health, chewing gum, plastics. Did you know it's plastics? We have other topics: IQ declining, tariffs, and school uniforms. Arnold, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. We're really excited about our new format. And I hope all of you are also. Please let us know what you think about it, because it's taking us a lot of time and effort to put this in an attractive way for all of us.
Yeah, since we're so young and we're used to these things. Okay, let's start. We might as well go in the order that we see it, yeah? The elections in Romania.
Over the last weeks, I've been keeping you updated on what's happening in Romania. The latest thing which happened this week, actually, was that the main candidate where all the, I would say, discussions were about, a guy called Cătălin Georgescu, he has been finally cancelled for the election. So there have been all the Supreme Courts, constitutional courts, and he's not allowed to run. So that is I think, a sad development in this country, which used to be a democracy, and now many Romanians call it a tyranny, because even they did everything to prevent the guy from running. So that's the way as it stands now.
And I mean, you've shown some of the pictures of the protests and everything, so I presume it's going to get worse, because if I voted for a guy like that, you're not going to just tolerate it and go, well, yeah, that's the way it is. It's kind of, you know, that the system isn't correct when they're removing the person that's trying to bring change to the country.
Yeah, and he was not an edge guy. The latest numbers in the polls were that he had, I think, 43% of the population. That's almost half of the people would have voted for him if he would an eligible candidate. So this is a big thing, and I totally assume that this is not the end of it.
So I suppose, since you mentioned populations, I'll touch on the populations, then we go back to the Serbia, right? So that's the picture. And what I'm going to do now is, this is something that I was actually doing for a few months. I just didn't believe that the population would be as it is. And I need to try and find it on my own screen now before I share it, because we're doing this as one complete thing. Okay, so Arnold, you let me know when you can see it, because then the rest of the people can see it.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, so this is Poland. So, like, the reason that I did this months ago is my thought process on everything was, I knew I was being conditioned for every single thing that I've been told. And then I realized I can't trust the cities or the governments, because they keep lying to us. And for some reason, I don't know why, I just said, why? They keep kind of saying the population's too big, and they keep giving us the figures. I was like, are they really accurate? And so this is just very out there, but because of the way that, so this is Poland, right? Warsaw, which is the city I'm in, and it gives all the main top cities, a lot of them. Right, I'm going to go through it fast now, but I can actually share this with people. I create some link, so if somebody wants to have it, there's no problem. Right, so if you look at it, all the big cities, it comes to 22,809,000. And then the advised population is 40 million. So, just...
What is advised?
It's like what they claim what the population in Poland is. And I've got different sources, so I've got links for where I can get my information. It's not just me pulling it from the sky. So, and I've even cross-referenced it with a few of them. So that's that, right? So we could say, all right, it's surrounding towns, all little things make up the extra, right? So that could be correct, right? Ireland, because I'm Irish, we've got Dublin is 1.2. Then there's Cork, where I'm from. It's the second city. And it gives all the different, and like even their Cove, that's like a part of Cork, is like the county of Cork, a region in Cork. And and Middleton as well. So, some people say, oh, the surrounding area. So it's covering that. And you got 3 million, and the advised population is 5. So, still, it's okay. The UK, because there's a lot of listeners from the UK. So we make sure that we look after ye. London, 7.5. Birmingham, Liverpool, and it's listing all the different cities there. I'm trying to hurry with this now. So 45 million is what's showing, and the advised population is 67. So not a major difference, but like 50% plus or whatever. So you say, okay, the US, because I think most of the listeners are from the US. So you've got all California and all the different states that are there, right? 334 million, 0.9. And the advised population is 341. So that's very close to what it's actually saying. Yeah.
Yeah, and can I conclude then that totally doesn't include all the people who live in rural areas? So
Exactly. So that's why I think maybe it's correct. Yeah. That's why I'm saying, yeah, that's probably right. So the two big ones that we know, the biggest populations in the world, China, which apparently now is second and Indians first. So I've got all the different cities there, gone through them. And I get 368 million when we've been advised that it's 1.425. 1,425 million.
well, that's the rounding figure, just 1 billion.
Well, 1.4. So, but like, even if you double it, it's not adding up. All right. Now let's go to India. Right. So same thing. I put in all the top cities. Apologies now for scrolling this fast, but as I mentioned, I'll create some link that people can actually access this. So if you look at all the different big cities, it's even shown pictures. Yeah. They're the top ones. 95 million. And if you scroll down, and that's the top, and the total is 180 million, and we're advised is 1.441. So 1,441 million. It's not adding up. So, like I've included all the top cities, and if we say, even if we doubled it like the other ones, so what's your thoughts on that? I don't know, because it's just something that I just said, I don't trust them. And
Yeah, because you could have come to the conclusion that there are a lot of people in rural areas, but that is just not true, because what we see all over the world is that people are moving from rural areas to the big cities.
exactly.
Yeah, so like it's the same amount or double in the rural. I think that's not correct, because and it's happening all over the world, is that there are even small villages, whatever, were completely empty because everybody's gone. So, um,
And they're destroying farming, and they're using all machinery as well. So they don't want, because they can't control people. They can organize all their cameras and full control in the city centers. Hence,
yeah,
why
well, that is the smart city movement. So, um, I would say the numbers which you added up from all the big cities, maybe it should be plus or minus 20% or something like that for the rural areas, but definitely not a gap of more than 1 billion. Yeah, so it's like, yeah. So, well, let's call this weird. So, if some of our audience has an idea what we maybe did wrong, or maybe we missed, or there's something else happening here, please share, and we can discuss in one of our next shows.
exactly. So next one, protests in Serbia.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it a few shows ago, but in Serbia they have in their capital is called Belgrade, and they've had for I think for weeks on end now all kinds of demonstrations. But yesterday, and I'm talking about Saturday, what is it, the 15th of March? there was a huge protest in Belgrade of 300,000 people. Well, you might say that's not so much, but on a population which is just a few million, so that is a lot. And apparently they were protesting against the corruption of the government. So there's a lot of things boiling and happening in Serbia as well, which you might not know.
And I actually have somebody that we used to do the live shows with, so I'll get him on and I'll try to find more. I'll get some on the ground information on that one. CBDC. I was hoping they'd be shut down, but it doesn't look like it. Arnold, what's happening? They're coming to the EU.
Yeah, it's the acronym stands for Central Bank Digital Currency. And now it's been officially announced by Christine Lagarde. I think she's the IMF president. And she said in the EU, in the European Union, it will launch in October 2025. October, that is in a little bit over a half a year from now. Yeah. So then it will officially launch. So guys, this is not a future plan. This is happening now. And you might say, oh, those are the guys in the European Union. No, it's not, because I got here a list from John Bush's mailing, and he says that in India, they already have the digital rupee. The rupee is the currency of India. Already 1 billion people are into financial surveillance. Canada just announced a new prime minister, but he has been a huge proponent of the CBDC, so that will be very soon implemented. In the US, you might say, no, it's not going to happen. We got Mr. Trump. Yeah, but Mr. Trump is introducing centralized stable coins, and that will have the same impact, so they can monitor and have financial surveillance over everything you do. Brazil.
Turn off the tap when they want to.
Yeah, absolutely. Brazil has the DREX, DREX, and it's rolling out a link to, but even not only the financial, but they immediately connected with a digital ID system. So meaning they know everything you purchase, when and where, and what you're going to do with it. China already has the digital yuan. Yeah, yuan. I don't know how to pronounce it, but that's their currency. So, and they can already, well, as most of you know, they have a social credit system. So if you didn't stop for the traffic light or you didn't pay your rent on time, they can freeze or restrict your spending at will. Yeah? They can even restrict your traveling and say, hey, you're not allowed to buy a ticket because you haven't paid this or that, or you bought too much alcohol, or things like that. Nigeria is the e-naira. Yeah? It was forced onto the thing where they said, well, we no longer have the cash, so we have the e-naira. Russia and Iran are working on a digital currency together. And Australia already has implemented one. So, folks, you might say, this is in the future, won't be my lifetime. I still have cash and everything will happen. No, this is being implemented all over the world. Yeah. So all of the big countries, US, the EU, Russia, Iran, China, India, all of the countries are implementing it. So it is happening, and it is happening now.
The guy busking or the guy homeless that's trying to get some money, they're going to say, I've only digital money, can't give you anything. So what's going to happen there? Do they have a phone where you actually scan it and transfer money? I don't know, but I know that a lot of people are trying to encourage using cash, because a lot of the shops were saying, oh, we only accept cards. And I mean, the likes of MasterCard, Visa and all them, they take 3%. So, that's hurting the shops and the individual. But I get gas. The car I have now is a gas car. And the guy actually has a 3 grolsch, which is just, less than a penny, penny, but by paying by cash. And he's actually 12%
cheaper than the cheapest one that I could find. And if you go to a motorway, he's like 30% cheaper. It's a massive difference. So just on a side note, watch the fees that they charge for at the gas stations, because I see plenty of people going in paying the 40%, 30% more expensive, and better to keep it in your money and start using cash, because you'll help the people. So I suppose we go on to the next one, the AI. It's my buddy's McDonald's, which is still alive. Unfortunately, they're still going.
Yeah, this week it was announced that McDonald's restaurants, and I don't know whether it's only US or globally, but there are 43,000 restaurants of them. They are going into fully automatic our AI system. Yeah, the AI system is going to cover everything from equipment maintenance to maintaining order accuracy, everything. So, well, what does it mean is that you folks who are working there will be not many of you left, because AI is taking over McDonald's.
And I mean, a lot of people would have actually seen that in the last 5 years, because instead of going up making your order, it's like the machines that you were doing. And the funny thing that because I'm not a fan of it, I don't go, but I remember during the lockdown where everybody had to wear masks and everything, everybody was going up to these machines. They were actually typing in their order, and then they were going down eating with their fingers. So if this deadly disease, that would be the easiest way to spread it. And a fake mask wasn't going to help you, but nobody thinks like that, Arnold.
Yeah. Well, it shows that we really, all of us, need to work on our critical thinking, because that is really stupid what you just described. The next one is an AI application from China. It's called MANUS. It's literally Latin for a hand, and they have. Last week, I talked about different AI agents who can do specific things. You have an AI agent who can code. You have an AI agent which can do research. You have an AI agent which can keep your agenda, or an AI agent which can monitor your site. So those are individual activities. But now what Manus is doing, they have something which is called multiple agent collaboration. So it's not only like, it can only book my holiday there, but it can do also is like build everything, connect everything, and then there's one entity which connects all those agents. Meaning, well, that application, well, if it works, it shows that the management or the collaboration is also done by AI. You might say, well, this is just a niche kind of thing. They announced it. I tried to have a look at it, but I couldn't, because the site had already kind of crashed, because there's so many people watching it. There is now even a waiting list to get, well, somehow access to the application. And I saw there are people offering money to other people to get on the waiting list. The highest amount which I saw is that someone is willing to pay $14,000 to get on the waiting list for that application. So that shows to you is like this agent thing, and now the collaboration between agents. And again, see this in the context of the McDonald's thing. It's like they're taking over our jobs, guys, because it's like, and people are crazy about it. They're even offering money to be put on a waiting list to take over your work by AI, and that is happening. This was announced this week.
Good news, Caravan.
Yeah, maybe a short explanation how we got to that name.
Yeah, because I suppose it's a lot of the stuff is kind of like the doom and gloom, and we want to bring some light into the world. So that's why we've got the picture of the sun in the corner there, and just let's see, because we don't hear about these things. You'll never have your BBC and your CNN and all these different news medias telling you what's good. All they do is tell you all negative stuff and deaths and murders and stuff like that. And the same on the radio. I mean, every time I listen, like turn off the radio as fast as possible. But it's always about who crashed their car, who's dead, who's this. They never say things that will actually uplift you. So we're going to do that, Arnold, aren't we?
Yeah, and yeah, well, you forget to mention is that I think you had something like that when you lived in Ireland, right?
Well, yeah, it was a caravan that was going, but it was kind of a religious thing. But it was really to kind of help people. We was just going for fun, but they were really nice people, and all they were doing is going around spreading love, and it was never manipulation and everything. And that's where it came from. They were called the Good News Caravan, so that's why we've created this.
Yeah, and I listened this week to a podcast interview with a guy called Mitch. He's called the Orgone Donor. It was on Cosmic Salon, so I highly recommend that you listen to it. But what is orgone? Orgone is basically a life energy, which if you put out that life energy, it blocks out bad energies. It blocks out bad frequencies. And what Mitch is doing is really incredible because the guy is putting in his money and his time and his effort mostly for free, in the sense that in something he only covers his costs. He gives people these orgone devices to block out the negative vibes in your environment and neutralize them. And that's what he's been doing for years and years and years. And he is capable of even changing weather patterns in his area where he lives. He's creating that people become more healthy, that the food gets better quality. So everything what we have been mentioning about geoengineering, and we have talked about it, and we will continue talking about it because it's one of the biggest things happening to us. But he has found these devices. He's built those devices based on the technology which is being developed by Willem Reich in the 30s, to protect us against that and to even counterbalance those activities. So really, really amazing work. And I would ask you to check it out.
And the thing is, it's a fascinating interview, but the thing is, when he got into it, it was kind of to debunk it because he didn't believe it would work, which is even more fascinating. And, like you've got all these different towers and they're showing how to block, because we're all complaining about all these different things. And it's great for somebody that's doing it. And he's got so many resources that he understands not everybody, can pay for the costs and, across the waters, in different countries. And he's sharing it all. So when you see somebody that's actually sharing all this information, he's one of the good guys. So
Absolutely. So really kudos to the work of Mitch on his orgone devices and Orgonite and everything like that.
yeah, I'll make sure I put the link of the show so you can actually have a listen to it. I'd highly recommend it. So this Desolinator. So one of the innovations, it's clean water technology. It's a solar-powered water desalination system designed to provide affordable, clean drinking water to water-scarce regions. And it's actually a Dutch guy that created it. I don't have his name here, but when I was reading it, he done it. So just the fact that they can do this, the condensation, the solar heats it up and it spits out clean water for those. Currently, the prices are, I think, 5,000 to 10,000 euro, but they're working building it on bigger scale. But it's just nice to see. And I know even, like if they're able to take salt water as well and make it drinkable, because I know even in Spain, there's a lot of properties, there's no water there, but yet they're surrounded by sea. So, there's a lot that can be done. But this is another positive one for us, Arnold.
Yeah, and I think it's like, maybe even a majority part of the population in the world has no access to clean drinking water and is surrounded by salt water. So if you and they have in countries like in the Middle East these huge plants, but that doesn't help the farmer in a rural area, and this is something which might help them. So really, really good news.
one that I always like to touch on is the health, whether it's something they give you advice for chewing gum. And I mean, I used to love chewing gum when I was younger. The Wrigley's Juicy Fruit was my favorite one. And
Did you have that color hair as well?
not really. I mean, that seems to be the norm these days. But I started knowing that they started putting aspartame into it. And I mean, that's a sweetener that was originally banned, and then they got it approved because obviously the scummy guys, they pay whoever they need to pay and get it approved. So with the aspartame, and I knew the gum was coming from trees. That's the way it used to be. But it's different these days. And like how I know is, I mean, I don't eat chewing gum anymore because it doesn't agree with me. And so if something doesn't agree with me, it's like going to McDonald's, once in kind of 2 or 3 years, you get stuck on a motorway and, there's not much around. And I don't feel good for a day or two after eating the poison. But with the chewing gum, the gum base is made by combining synthetic polymers, which are plastics, resins, and plasticizers. These ingredients give gum its elasticity and chewiness. The gum base is melted and mixed with sweeteners, flavorings, and softeners to enhance taste and texture. And the flavorings, of course, are toxic, as I just mentioned, right? The shaping and cooling, the mixture is rolled shaped into sticks or pellets, right? So there's a few things about it. One, not biodegradable. So, going on the streets. I know a lot of the cities have problem. I think it was Singapore was in 1992. They banned chewing gum. So to alleviate the problem. But not only that, I mean, the odd time you would swallow chewing gum years ago, if it's plant-based, don't think it does much. It never killed me because I know I swallowed it a few times. But if you're swallowing a plastic-based one, what's that doing to your insides? And also, if it's going into the seas and everything, it's not biodegradable. So how it's allowed, like everything else, beats me. But when you think you're getting chewing gum, maybe perhaps there's still the kind of tree-based ones that are there. So if you like chewing gum, go away, do your research and find the ones, but stay away from all these big brand ones because you're eating plastic. And would you go around and eat, the pipe that you have? You wouldn't. So don't put that in your mouth.
Yeah, that between quotes nicely relates to the EQ declining. We recently saw a graph that since the 1950s, 1960s, the IQ stands for intelligence quotient, has been steadily declining, and up till this very day will decline much further. And that is one of the main reasons for that is all the things what we, Roy and I have been discussing with you, like what is in the food, what is in the chewing gum, what is in the water, what is in the air. That destroys your brain. It destroys your EQ because otherwise there's no reason why I can explain is that the IQ of people in the 1950s, by the way, I am from the 1950s, it's like it's going down. There's no other reason why it should be. And so it's like I'm totally convinced that the geo-engineering, the social engineering, the bioengineering, which is happening through air, water, food, the toxic cleaning products which we're using, which even the plastics in the tea bags, what we discussed a while ago, it's like everything. That's what's attacking you from the outside, but it's also you put it in your mouth. Yeah, I had this week, and here when I go out for my walk, I had tears running from my eyes. I mentioned it last week, but this morning I still had the same. So it was like there's toxic stuff in the air, yeah? And obviously what it is, it impacts your brain. It impacts your intelligence.
And like, I don't know, can you hear my son, 11-year-old child? He's coughing away. They're spraying it every day. I'm recording it every day, putting it into a Facebook page. Just every day they're doing it. And then, a few times there's the fog again because they're able to raise it down. And we're breathing in it now. I tried to avoid it. I say, don't go out in it. But it's coming into your house because it's in the air. It's everywhere. And that's what it is. Your body then's trying to get rid of these toxins. Hence why you get coughs and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's tariffs. So this is just one briefly touch on, because everyone is listening to Donald, and he's creating tariffs for the Mexicans, for the Canadians, for China, for this, for that, and they're all and it's like a big game. And the problem is, who's going to pay for this? Because when they put on 25%, it's the end users paying for it. It's not Donald Trump is paying for it, or any of the other leaders who's just playing a game of, just laughing at the people. So how many jobs then are lost because of that? And then even if there's some products brought in and there's tariffs on it, and then they're selling it out, there's more tariffs. So the end price just goes through the roof. And I mean, as we see already, and we've talked on the gas prices last week, and just people are barely able to survive as it is. And they're making it look like, oh, we're protecting America and everything. But the whole lot of them now are in the game. It's all orchestrated. This isn't just something that he's doing. It's orchestrated, and it's the end user, which is us, is going to get caught for this.
Yeah, and us might be citizens in Europe, in China, in the US, in Brazil, everywhere in the world. So it's not like if you're a US citizen, it won't hit me, it will. And if you want to see how it works, look at what happened during the COVID lockdowns. The supermarket said, yeah, everything's more expensive, and so we have to raise the prices. But they didn't. So it's like, suppose it's 20% up, and it's like, okay, we take care of 10% and you pay the 20%. No, what happened is you, the consumer, you paid the whole 20%, and their profits went through the roof. So it like they just roll it out over you and me, the end users, rather than they say, oh, okay, well, we'll take a little bit less profit and you won't notice it. No, you will have to pay for it.
And yeah, did that change now that the so-called lockdown is over? No. There was one guy, he had in America, he had his shopping list on auto, so he knew exactly what he got, and he had a previous one, and it's more than doubled. I mean, we all know that every single thing has gone through the roof, and they have an excuse for everything. But look, we can go to this one. And the reason that I want to touch on the school uniforms is, I remember we started school when we were 4. Of course, we have the grey uniform. And it was my son was actually telling me that one of the kids that he's in school with, because my son is it's like copy and the finish system, so they're able to wear what they want, and it's a very good system. But one of his friends left and went to another school, and he was telling me just the other day that, yeah, they have to wear the grey uniform and doesn't like that. But also when the teacher comes in, they have to stand up. We had to do that. And both things are basically making you comply to authority, like in a courtroom, to a police officer, in a corporation, and all the uniforms. So you're being conditioned from a young age. I didn't realize they were still doing that. The other thing is, when it gets hot, and it gets hot in Poland, wearing grey isn't the best colours for, you get really hot. And I remember that in Ireland. We actually had sun at one stage. I presume it was before they were spraying the skies, so we think that Ireland is just crappy weather all the time. It wasn't like that when I was younger. But I believe that making the uniforms dull and grey, like the old Russian buildings, all grey, and even in Poland at one stage, it's not good for the psyche. You need colours. And when they're making everyone wear the same clothes and stand up, like when they're putting them into prisons, standing up, like for the judge coming in, you stand up and, giving authority like the police. They're conditioning children at a very young age. And it's like, parents, don't tolerate that. Take your child out of a school like that.
Well, the name uniform means one form. Uni means one form. And that is what it's trying to do, is to make everyone the same. That is, by the way, why the education system takes so long. Why do we have to put, I believe it's mandatory in most countries until 16. Why do you need 16 years of your life in education? Well, to make you uniform, to make you the same as everybody else. That's why it takes so long. Why does it take so long? Because what I'm teaching people is you should cherish your uniqueness. Yeah? So you were unique when you were born, and from that moment, the conditioning starts to make you the same as everybody else. That takes 16 years of your life, folks. Huh? So that is why we're doing it, is to make everybody who's unique have the feeling that you're the same as everybody else by putting on just the same uniform, the same clothes, the same program, the same stuff like everybody else. You are unique. You are not the same as everybody else.
And I know there's over 2 million in America that are homeschooling their kids. And so, like, a lot of people think you need 8 hours. You don't. About 2 hours is enough. And you can, even if there's a few families, that they have different skills, that one might be good at maths, but everyone just kind of cooperate to do it. Don't think, like, unfortunately, a lot of people, they use the schools as like a babysitting service, so they can then go away and work hard to put the roof over their head and food on their table. And they're staying away from their kids. And then, like I mentioned last week, that one good thing that the Polish guy did is he took away homework, but not all countries are doing that. So then they're coming back, and after being 8 hours or so in school, then they've got another 2 or 3 and causing stress and everything. So don't tolerate it. Do not tolerate it. Like, it's up to you to say, this isn't right. Like, the whole system where you're chugging through life and you're working your arse off till you're 65, which is now probably going to be 70 soon, as 68 in some countries. And then you look forward to your retirement and then you die. So don't, if you think that's a good deal, just wake up. Please wake up. It's not. Yep. Rent over again, Arnold. So as always, thoroughly enjoyed it. Listeners, not sure if you like our new format. We were, playing with this. It's nice to have the different graphics and everything. So we hope you enjoyed it. You'll find Arnold on braingym.fitness. You'll find me on roycon.com, or just scan the QR code. You'll find all my other episodes there. And so be sure to give us a thumbs up, 5-star rating, share with your friends, and share if you're on the WhatsApp group or Telegram or something like that. Share, because we get censored, we get blocked, nobody wants it. But yet the numbers are there. We're getting good feedback. And as I say, don't ever, no matter what we say, go and do your own research. Like even the population thing, I'd love for information on that. What's your thoughts on it? Perhaps you can give me some information to show that, I was thinking wrong. That's okay as well. I'm open to that. But we read all your comments. As long as they're not abusive, they stay up. Until next week, take care.